Welcome to the JBJ Management Podcast. I'm Willis Johnson, and with me today, my coworker, Brenna Riston. This is her first podcast, so I'm excited about that. But our guest today is Craig Davis, who is the man at Visit Dallas from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I'm actually from Toronto, Canada originally.
Through.
30 years in Pittsburgh, so I'll give you that one. Yeah.
Thanks for being here, though. Appreciate it.
Of course, I'm excited to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about what Craig Davis does day to day when it comes to Visit Dallas. It used to be something else, but talk to me about Visit Dallas and the operation.
Sure. Visit Dallas is the agency in Dallas, the official agency that is tasked with bringing in conventions, leisure business, all to fill up hotel rooms. So we bring in economic development specifically for the tourism world here. The economy here is about 65,000 people that work here. It's about a $7 billion industry. So we contribute a portion of that.
When you say $7 billion, tell me, I'm not asking itemize.
No,
break that down. What does that mean?
So $7 billion worth of spending. So when we bring in visitors, they bring along with them the capacity to spend while they're in the city. So we have some pretty sophisticated modeling that shows that people that come in, particularly they spend overnight here in Dallas, they spend money on hotels, rental cars, restaurants, shopping. You could probably name it to me. So all told, that number equals about $7 billion a year here in Dallas. Of course, you're using different numbers during COVID, but we only dipped down for a couple of years and then we shot right back up again. So we are at record-breaking levels right now.
And during that time, right after COVID, we went into Prop A. So,
yeah,
Brenna, talk to me a little bit about Prop A, because you were that person for Prop A. Talk about the kind of the campaign and how that worked out.
Well, Prop A really was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think, for the city of Dallas. And we were just able to work with incredible partners like Visit Dallas, Dallas Citizens Council, Downtown Dallas, Inc., Hotel Association of North Texas. I probably shouldn't have started naming names.
You can only get into trouble there, Brenda.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was an opportunity to really learn more about the
And
inner
Dupree
workings.
Scovel. I want to make sure we give plenty of love to Dupree Scovel, because that's my man.
Yeah.
I think we met with him a few times a week.
It seemed like every other day, for sure.
No, it was incredible. To be part of such a monumental project with the convention center and the dollars that would go to renovate Fair Park, it was just really incredible to be a part of history, really.
So now, after Prop A, what did that mean to Visit Dallas in correlation to the Dallas Convention Center?
Well, Prop A was the second thing that happened. So maybe we go back a little bit, if that's okay with you. So when I first came to Dallas, I quickly realized that our convention center is, in its current form, is 5 different buildings. The original one was built in 1957. The last one was built in about 2001. So even its newest part is 20-something years old. So it's a 65-year-old building with 5 different systems of engineering. When it has $700 million worth of deferred maintenance in it. So to put that into perspective, when it rains outside, it rains inside. So it's not a customer favorite, but our customers want to use Dallas and are willing to use us even despite having to meet at that building. The building isn't terrible, but it just hasn't been renovated. It is not up to the standards that other cities' buildings are. So early on, my partner at the city, Rosa Fleming, called me and she said, "I've got some good news for you." She said, "I think we found a way to be able to get a brand new convention center." I said, "Tell me." And she said, "Well, there was this mechanism in the state legislature called a project financing zone, and it was specific to Fort Worth and to Dallas.
Yep.
And what you can do is draw a circle around the project that you want to build, and all the hotels within a 3-mile radius around that circle, the state will forego their incremental tax that they would otherwise collect and put it towards a bonding project." So we did this during COVID, and if you think about it, we were running at around 20% occupancy at that time. This was early on in COVID, and the state miraculously said that they would accept that 20% and then give the rest back to the city to bond against a project. So that started a very powerful wheel rolling down a hill. And then the thought of Prop A, what Brenna said, that was actually adding another 2% on to hotel tax spent here in Dallas. And that specifically funds this convention center and parts of Fair Park as well. So it was a really wonderful project that brought the entire community together. The chance to get a new convention center, and we could talk about that and the whole, what it means to the neighborhood around the convention center, what it means to Dallas, but also to put some substantial money back into Fair Park. It was a no-brainer. And thankfully, when it went to referendum, and with the help of our and the leadership of the JBJ management group, it passed by almost 70% for local citizens in Dallas to vote yes to add 2% to the hotel tax. So it was a win in every single respect.
Now, with that, so I'm going to get back to the 1957 portion of the convention center eventually, because I have a story about that. But I want to talk a little bit about this Prop A and what it means to the community. We told the community what was going to happen.
Well, we told the community that it would renovate Fair Park and build a brand new convention center.
And there was going to be a connectivity.
Right. So it really was transforming the southwest quadrant of downtown and connecting into the Cedars, perhaps through a deck park.
So where are we with that, Craig? You would know more about that than we would. Where are we with this connectivity across 30?
Oh, it's going to get connected. Sure. I mean, it's connected now, but it's not a very nice connection point. They're going to model it after, I'm going to say it's not going to be quite Clyde Warren Park or the Southern Gateway, but it's going to be a very attractive connection point between the Cedars and downtown. And the good news is that the convention center will now go from an east-west orientation to a north-south orientation. And the southernmost part will effectively be the front door to the Cedars. So we're going to have two entrances into the convention center, and that's going to be very powerful when you think of a logical connectivity to southern Dallas. And the convention center campus itself will be transformed into associated services for a convention center district. It'll be retail, it'll be shopping, restaurants. Hopefully people will live there, and hopefully we'll get office space built there. We want it to be a brand new neighborhood that will serve the citizens of Dallas, as well as our conventioneers and our visitors.
Well, let's talk about conventions, because you do a lot of that now.
Yeah, we're the ones that are responsible for, I should have said that earlier, our sales team works with our community to fill the convention center with as much business as we can all year long.
And you're already selling a convention center that's not quite built yet, but you're selling it.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, it takes a lot of trust. So we have renderings, and we know what the pad of the convention center is going to look like. So by the numbers, right now, our convention center has 725,000 square feet of exhibit space, but only 160,000 square feet of what we call breakout space or associated meeting space. That's not a very good a complementary having the convention space at the exhibit space at 725,000 and then the breakout space at 160. That is not a very good ratio. So now the new convention center will be 800,000 square feet of exhibit space and 460,000 square feet of breakout space, including a 105,000 square foot ballroom. So we're going to have a significant more of an opportunity to bring in the kinds of conventions that are worthy of Dallas. So we right now don't bring in our fair share of medical conventions, pharmaceutical, law, engineering, finance, because they require that breakout space that I just described, and we don't have even close to enough. Now with our new convention center, we'll be able to compete with almost anything in North America, if not the world.
So I've been, in my career, I've been to a few conventions.
I'm sure you have. Yeah.
San Diego, I've been to New Orleans, which I don't like. I've been to Fort Lauderdale, New York. What does Dallas have that competes in Vegas? that competes with those cities?
Presently, or what we're going to have?
Maybe both.
Yeah, well, so presently we have one of the largest conventions in terms of exhibit space. So we attract more than our fair share. It is the rest of that we're talking about. You just named several cities that with whom we compete, but when you talk about Las Vegas, we could have a whole show on Las Vegas because they are in a category by themselves. Every time we think we have something new, they have 20 things that they've done in the last year. Right. So we treat Vegas very differently, and they're just in a different category than every city on the planet. So giving them their props, they are built for a convention or multiple conventions. So there are one or two conventions that can only meet in Las Vegas because they're so big that they dwarf everybody else. But all that aside, you look at our main competitors. It's Atlanta, Chicago. We compete against, you said San Diego, Los Angeles, New York. We compete against big first-tier cities and some second-tier cities. With this new configuration, we'll go head-to-head with the large conventions. They'll still be the ones that we're going after now, but we're going to be able to get more of our fair share. And in many cases, we'll be able to put two conventions at the same time in Dallas, whereas we can only put one at a time here. So we'll have the ability to have one side of our convention center having a group meet in it, while the other side is either moving in or moving out, which will allow us to keep a constant stream of conferences coming in and out, rather than the 3 days or 4 days of setup and 3 days of teardown, which makes our city, there's nothing in the city when that happens because there's nothing, it's all setting up or tearing down. So now we'll have the ability to really move the needle.
Most of these cities have water.
Yeah.
We don't.
Vegas doesn't have water.
How do you compete with? They have water. We don't. San Diego has water. New York has water. Miami has water. New Orleans has water.
Yeah. Different cities. Our city's attractive. Our city's a big city. It's well known. And you talked about this. We can get more into it, but we have sold the new convention center that doesn't even exist for almost, we have 50 contracts that are sold definite right now, with another 100 that are waiting for a little bit more information. So, but I'm going to get back. I don't want to
screw. Got a hell of a sales team. Yeah. I need to talk.
Well,
to them.
I mean, it's just, the thing is that you have to look at that Dallas has such a wonderful reputation that people trust that we've shown them enough information. They say, okay, that's great. I'll roll the dice and I'll sign a contract for 2031. That's giving you plenty of time to get that thing built and up and running. And then they also have outs. I mean, if for some reason something goes terrible and we can't open it up in time, then we'll help them find another city. So they're willing to roll the dice with us. But that shows you the power of how well we attract business in Dallas and the community that serves. And I don't want to skirt your question about water. We have our own. I mean, there are other cities that have that with which we compete that don't have water. It's all about facilities in and around. Do you have a convention center? Do you have the right kind of hotels? Do you have wonderful restaurants? Do you have a hospitality culture? Can you get from point A to point B? Those are all check marks for Dallas. Dallas, obviously, we have the most airlift on the planet when you combine DFW and Love Field.
Right.
There's no other city that has more airlift. Those are things in our favor that other cities can't compete with. So on that playing field, we compete incredibly well. And quite frankly, we sell what we have. No, we don't have mountains or oceans. That's the old joke here in Dallas. But what we have is an incredible city that is welcoming, and it is a place to do business. People love doing business here because it's so business friendly.
Now I'm curious. You were just in South Padre Island with the Texas City Managers Association. What I heard, smaller cities. Mm-hmm. I heard cities like Sweeney, Levine,
Divine.
Yeah, those kind of places. How do the small cities compare with conventions to the big cities like Dallas?
Well, comparing South Padre is a little challenging because it is right there
on the water,
on the Gulf. But in Dallas's defense, we have a vibrant, safe downtown. I love downtown Dallas and lived there for a decade. We have the arts district. We have great museums. Like you said, we have great restaurants.
Oh wait, you're on his team.
Oh, we have.
I'm Team
Brenda,
Dallas.
thank you. Yeah,
I'm Team Dallas.
We have a lot of attractors. And if you want to look at sort of a size and scope, I mean, we have a couple hotels that are as large as some third-tier cities. So we'll compete against a third-tier city that what they would call a citywide convention in their city. We can put that citywide at the Anatole, at the Hyatt, or the Sheraton. They are that big. So
Wow.
we have a multiple prong approach. We're selling what we call citywide conventions in our convention center, but we're also bringing in what we call mini wides, which are multiple hotels. You have the Sheraton Hotel and the Marriott next door, but all the meeting space is taken care of at the Sheraton. So we compete at a level that's very different than most cities.
Let me
because we
go
have so
back
much
a little
product.
bit, Craig, and talk about the Omni Hotel and the
Yeah.
significance of the Omni, because there was such a history with that. And the convention center hotel did not exist until 10, 12, 15 years ago. What did that do for Dallas for having the Omni Hotel connected to the convention
Well,
center?
it's changed our whole trajectory. If you look at, and we have some pretty solid graphs that show this sort of downward trend until 11/11/11 when the Omni Hotel opened up. And then that hockey stick went straight up to a certain point. I mean, we got to a practical maximum, but that changed. It changed all of our fortunes because it finally gave us that one anchor hotel that our conventions need. They don't. It's tough because we're competing against several cities that have, for instance, Nashville. And I'm not here to sell another city, but they've done it really right. They got a brand new convention center about 10, 12 years ago. They've built around 10,000 rooms around that convention center. So it is the dream of a convention customer to stay really close to where the convention is happening. They don't have to take a bus to their hotel. They can stay on the campus. All the entertainment is around there. They can just be let loose to do what they want to do. They're going to work hard and then they're going to play hard. Here it's a different situation because we're forced into having to transport people into the different hotels. And so what the Omni did is it took us from a situation where we could sell a convention, but we'd have to sign several hotels, more than 10. We have some conventions that come into Dallas right now that we sign north of 20 hotels, sometimes close to 30, sometimes close to 40 when it comes to cheerleaders and the volleyball. So you've got self-contained business that you can bring with the Omni. And the Omni is different than the average convention center hotel. It is a beautiful standalone, at least 4-star hotel that if you didn't know it was attached to a convention center, you just assume it was a luxury hotel downtown. So that changed our fortune. And it also increased the fortunes of every hotel. All of the business in Dallas increased dramatically as soon as that opened up because it gave us that missing piece that our customers were telling us that we needed. And thankfully, the city responded to it long before I got here. But it's been a legacy that we have lived off of at Visit Dallas for the longest time.
So I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios, and I'd be interested to just get your response. FIFA, what does that mean?
Oh, it means I'm going to talk like such a salesperson here, but I really believe that that's going to be our moment in Dallas. Dallas does not have you go to another country and you ask them if they know the city Dallas. They know the city. They don't have a recognition problem. Everybody, I think most people know what Dallas is, but they really don't know who we are. There's a definite confusion about our brand, who we are. And I think because we're going to have such a concentration of the FIFA World Cup's operation is going to be here in Dallas during FIFA World Cup, we're going to be in an opportunity to get some worldwide coverage, media coverage that we're not going to have to pay for. We can just, if we do everything right, they're going to write stories about Dallas. And this may be our moment to kind of move from a city that is often misunderstood to a city that it is going to be understood. Much like Atlanta was when they hosted the Olympics back in the 80s. I think that really put them on the map. I think FIFA can put us on the map. We're going to have 9 games, FIFA World Cup games. No other city's going to have that amount. We didn't get the final game, but we get the semifinal game. We got one of them. So we really got the lion's share of the business. I can't talk about it today. We're going to be voting. The city council is going to be voting on something tomorrow, but it'll further entrench FIFA in our community for about 7 months during the FIFA World Cup. So most of the business of the FIFA World Cup in North America will be done in Dallas.
If I say Major League Baseball All-Star Game, what does that mean to visit Dallas?
Oh, it means every time we host something like that, even when the Mavs and the Stars went deep into the playoffs, that is incredible for us because it gives us that sort of, they're talking about us. So when our community sales team calls a customer living in New York, they're going to open the door and they're going to say, you guys have been on the news lately. I mean, we have this sort of swagger now that we've always had, but it's these moments we need to capitalize on. So FIFA, Major League Baseball All-Star Game, perhaps an NCAA event or two coming up, Rugby World Cup. I mean, we are becoming an epicenter for sports.
Talk about the traditional Texas OU.
Texas OU, biggest weekend of the year for hotels.
Wow.
In Dallas, Texas. Yep.
Wow.
That becomes the shining example. Can you beat Texas OU weekend?
We haven't had a Super Bowl since 2009.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, you'd have to ask Roger Goodell that, but I'm going to tell you that we are in the conversation now. It's about time. And I think a lot of it has to do with Mr. Jones, whether he's going to push for it. I think it's our time. There's discussion. And to give some context, the Dallas Sports Commission is part of Visit Dallas. So I know enough to be dangerous about what's going on.
Greg, thank you so much for the time today.
Of course,
you have been this beacon of hope, this beacon of change and challenge for the city of Dallas in terms of people coming here since you've been here. So very appreciative for your time today.
I came here 4.5 years ago, right before COVID, and I feel like I've lived here all my life. This is my city. I have never felt as part of a community, and it's because a community has taken myself and my wife Kathleen in, and we have made lifelong friends here. So it has definitely been something that I've cherished, having the opportunity to be a part of Dallas.
Well, glad to have you on the JBJ Management Podcast. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brenna.
Thank you.